I think you're on mute.
Workday starting to sound the same?
I think you're on mute.
Find something that sounds better for your career on LinkedIn. With LinkedIn Job Collections, you can browse curated collections by relevant industries and benefits, like flex PTO or hybrid workplaces, so you can find the right job for you. Get started at linkedin.com/jobs. Finding where you fit. LinkedIn knows how.
Llegaron los nuevos McCrispy Strips, listos para aventurarse en la mezcla de mayo ketchup, la barbecue que quedó en el fondo de la cajita, hot fudge sundae y en la nueva creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Los nuevos McCrispy Strips, ahora en McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, folks, that was a special interview. I have so much admiration for Mike Pence, and it kind of breaks my heart that Mike Pence and Donald Trump had this breakup. I don't think it's as bad as the breakup that we're seeing with Elon Musk and Donald Trump, but I do believe that Mike Pence speaks a lot of wisdom, and he's a great, great friend. So now I want to bring on Mark Skousen, who is an economist at Chapman University. He also runs Freedom Fest. And I'm going to ask him to tell you all about that because it's a great event. I've been going to that for many, many years every summer. And he also has a great new book out that I wanted for you to all hear about on one of the 5 or 10 greatest Americans, Ben Franklin. So first of all, Mark, thanks for joining.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be on your show. I'm just delighted with the title, More on Money. That's a great title.
More money. You better believe it. So, Mark, first of all, tell people, I think I've been going for 15 years or so to your summer Freedom Fest. Many years it was in Las Vegas. One year, actually, I debated, I don't know if you remember this, I debated Paul Krugman in the economic boxing match of the decade. And I think I won that debate, by the way, folks. I think I think that the vote showed I beat Paul Krugman in that debate. But you've been doing this for many years. So what's on tap for this summer's Freedom Fest?
You know, I should also mention, Steve, that was the very year that Donald Trump, at the beginning of his election, came and spoke on Saturday.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes.
7-Eleven. It was his lucky day, and his poll numbers started increasing because we had huge coverage. I couldn't believe the media coverage and standing room only.
Yes.
And, of course, it was a libertarian audience, so half the audience gave him a standing ovation. The others sat on their so, you know, he's a bit divisive figure even back then. So
yeah. So what's going on this year?
This year we're in Palm Springs, California, and it starts next week. And it's just going to be a great event. If people go to freedomfest.com, they can read. Is
it too late for Mark? Is it too late for people to get tickets, or can people still sign up?
No, we still have room, and in fact, one of our hotels, the Hilton, we still have a room block that we need to fill, but we'll have at least 1,500 people there.
Wow.
And we have Steve Forbes coming, of course, on a regular basis. And we have John Fund, your buddy.
Yeah,
and
sure.
We have Kat Timpf, who had overcome breast cancer and just had a baby, and she just insisted on speaking. She's always wanted to speak there. And we also have the Stoic philosopher Ryan Holiday. I don't know if you know him or not, but he's a real interesting motivational speaker. We've always had success with motivational. And we have Ross Ulbricht, who was pardoned, as you know, by President Trump with his he was given 2 life sentences for his role as in the dark web. As the punishment didn't fit the crime, so he's going to be speaking. So it's really going to be a fun event. We have Cato and Heritage. Heritage is going to be there in a big way. So it's going to be a really fun conference.
Okay, so and when does it start? You said this coming week.
Starts on Wednesday, and we finish up with our Saturday night banquet. We have a full 3-day investment conference, the Anthem Film Festival. We have the best libertarian films in the country. We have a comedy show. We just have a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
We even have a libertarian magician showing up. So he's going to make inflation disappear.
Oh, I love that. So I've been to many of these folks, and you don't want to miss it. And if you're in the area, or if you can fly out to Palm Springs, it's a wonderful hotel, wonderful conference, one of the most important conferences of the year. So let's get to your new book, Mark. The book is about Ben Franklin, and the title is The Greatest American. You said it's the #1 history book right now on Amazon. Congratulations. It just came out. Why? Well, let me say this. I think I would certainly put Ben Franklin in the top 10 of greatest Americans of all time. I don't know if I would put him first. I'd probably say George Washington is the greatest American, but make the case for Ben Franklin.
Yes. So first of all, people need to know that my book, The Greatest American, is not just a standard biography that tells his story from beginning to end, how he lived the American dream and so forth. But what it is a series. I have 80 chapters, and each chapter says what can we learn from Ben Franklin's 84 years in a career that covered almost the entire 18th century.
Right.
And what can we learn about trade and taxes and inflation and running a good business? He was so successful that he retired at age 42. He is considered America's greatest diplomat. Even Ken Burns.
Right. He was the ambassador to France, right?
He was ambassador to France, and he was the only one. See, this is the thing that a lot of people don't know, that without the French support of troops and ships and so forth, we would not have won the Battle of Yorktown. George Washington may well have ended up in prison. So and Franklin was the only commissioner. They had 5 or 6 commissioners, so they didn't trust Franklin because he was 70 years old. But he raised all the money. He was.
Wow.
I have a whole chapter on
amazing
what was his technique as a fundraiser, and he just loved the people, and the French people loved him, and that made such a huge difference. So he's really quite an interesting character. I see him as a Dr. Phil kind of person that if you wanted to sit down and have a beer with, who would you do it? Now, in case of George Washington, there's a lot of questions that he would not answer. He would not answer why he never had children. He would not. Thomas Jefferson would not answer his relationship with Sally Hemings. That would be considered inappropriate. But Ben Franklin even talked about his being his hard to govern passions, his errata in life of having an illegitimate child, William.
Yeah.
So there's some really fun things in the book.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay, courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
So I read Walter Isaacson's book about Ben Franklin a number of years ago, and I remember a lot of that. And I don't think that Ben Franklin, did he ever go to college?
No, but he got an honorary degree from Harvard and Yale and St. Andrews, and after that was always known as Dr. Franklin.
Wow.
So, yes, no, he was pretty much self-taught. He loved to read, was a voracious reader. And here's another thing that would be very interesting regarding the Elon Musk and President Trump's their feud. Franklin had a lot of enemies in the Pennsylvania legislature. And so one day he went to a guy that didn't like Franklin at all and said, "Hey, I see you have a book in your library that I would like to borrow. Do you mind if I borrow your book?" And that developed a friendship, and he was always cooperative. And he said at that point he learned a very important lesson, that you should never speak ill of someone in public. And I think that feud really got started because they started yelling at each other.
That's a great point.
And Franklin learned not to do that. And he would often write letters where he was really mad, but then he wouldn't send the letter. And unfortunately, in today's world, you push a button and the email is out, the text is out. You know?
So I think that's a great point because, the problem is that, with this feud that's going on between Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and I admire both of them greatly, is they're both diminishing themselves through the nasty things they're saying about each other. And, Ben Franklin, by the way, Ben Franklin was beloved in Europe, wasn't he?
Oh, yes. And in fact, this is why I think my book is appropriate, because unfortunately, a lot of foreigners are seeing America as representing the ugly American again, and we need to fight against that. In my book, The Greatest American, Ben Franklin is beloved by the French, beloved by the English, beloved by the Asians and the Chinese. He spoke about the positive side of the French people, how they were always for the underdog, and it's really the love affair that, by the way, he did have an enemy. One of the founding fathers was Franklin's worst enemy, and it was John Adams. And John Adams was a commissioner in France, and he hated the French, and he disliked Franklin's amours with some of the French ladies and stuff like that. He thought he was a religious heretic, and it was really bad blood. But Franklin always worked with John Adams to try to maintain some kind of a friendship. And so, yes, Franklin and Jefferson are both really beloved by the French people.
So he was pretty instrumental in getting the French to help in the Revolutionary War, wasn't he?
You're talking about Franklin?
Yes.
Yes. So Franklin raised all the money. No other commissioner raised any money. Arthur Lee never raised any way. John Adams, no money at all by the French. It was only Franklin.
Wow.
And at one point, the king said, "We've run out of money. You've run out of money. But because of the love you have for our French people and the love we have for you, I'm giving you as a free gift 6 million livres." And it was that kind of thing that caused people. The American Revolution was won. So George Washington is the father of our country, but Ben Franklin is really the grandfather.
So tell us, is the story about the kite and the electricity, is that a true story?
Yes, there's a little bit, I do have a chapter in my book, The Greatest American, chapter 80. It's the last chapter. It's called Ben Franklin and His Critics. And some historians have argued that his electric experiments were faked. But the evidence is pretty strong because others have now come forth and shown that he actually did this. He was just afraid of the publicity because he thought maybe the experiment would not work and that they would be killed, because it was a very dangerous thing to fly a kite during a an electric storm. And by the way, electric storms are greater in North America than in any other part of the world. So this is a perfect place. And Franklin became America's first scientific American, if you will.
Right.
And he won the Copley Prize, which was like the Nobel Prize. So when he went to England, when he went to France, he was considered the greatest American.
Right.
Most famous American. George Washington was not very well known compared to Franklin. He was the most famous American. And when he died, 20,000 people showed up for his funeral.
Amazing. 20,000. That was when we were a small country. Well, we've just got 2 minutes left. What else about Ben Franklin? What do you think made him so great? I mean, here is a guy who came from pretty humble beginnings. He's the ultimate kind of Horatio Alger story. He started working when he was very young. And he was an inventor, a patriot, a diplomat, a great businessman. I mean, in everything he did well.
Well, in fact, I would say if there's one thing you can learn from Ben Franklin is that whatever you do, make sure that your work is useful. So he wasn't just a scientist; he was an inventor of the Franklin stove, of the electric, the lightning rod, the bifocals. These are all useful things.
Yes.
And his diplomacy, all very useful. As a businessman, very useful events and trying to advance and so forth. So I have these 80 chapters, and it's, again, all what we can learn today from Franklin.
Yeah, I've just started reading it. It's just a fantastic book, folks. It's called The Greatest American. It's by Mark Skousen. And it's a good and fun, easy read. I did read the Walter Isaacson book. That's a pretty heavy book, and it took me a long time to read it. But this really cuts to the chase. And it's thanks to people like Ben Franklin that we have the great country that we have. So, Mark, thanks for writing that book. Thanks for putting on Freedom Fest. People, if you want to go to Freedom Fest, just go to freedomfest.org. And we will be right back, folks. Freedomfest.com. And we'll be right back.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.